The astonishing improvements of spacesuits. Spacesuits have been a part of several pivotal historical events throughout the past 50 years. Spacesuits have allowed humans to accomplish amazing things, from the Cold War struggle to dominate space to the moon landings and the establishment of a permanent human presence in low Earth orbit on the International Space Station. Until recently, the design maxim form follows utility, determine their signature appearance. Watch the entire video today to discover more about the spacesuit's refurbishing improvements. A total of 584 persons have traveled to space since April 7, 2022, whether on missions to the moon, low Earth orbit, or brief suborbital excursions above the Kármán line. Every astronaut has worn some attire, but until recently these spacesuits were designed to protect astronauts in the event of a fire, unexpected depressurization, or another disaster. The Extravehicular Mobility Unit (EMU) suits used by NASA today are cumbersome and challenging to maneuver. They were first used by the space agency approximately 40 years ago. They were not made for rugged terrain hikes but for floating spacewalks. The long-awaited improvement is now necessary. Before we continue, kindly click the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos. Click the bell icon to receive notifications of new videos. Have you completed this already? Let us begin. International work has been done on spacesuit development and production for as long as the American program has existed and is still going strong. As they constructed spacesuits for the launch of Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space, in 1961, and the first spacewalk by Alexei Leonov from Voskhod 2 in 1965, the Soviet Union was a dominant force in the early spacesuit industry. All Russian spacesuits, including those now being used for Russian-led spacewalks on the ISS, were first developed by the Russian corporation Zvezda. Their design team produced and tested a variety of spacesuits over the years, much like the efforts made in the US Sokol and Orlan series suits have been used the most in the spacewalks of all suit kinds. The Sokol was first worn during takeoff and landing in 1973 and is currently worn on all current Soyuz spacecraft flights. The Orlan spacesuit and the US suit were first used aboard the Mir space station before being introduced in 1977 for use during spacewalks from the Salyut space stations. Russian suits have a slightly distinct design philosophy compared to American suits. They are highly durable and function without being fancy. In contrast, the latest fabrics and technology used in the US suits deliver the highest levels of comfort and performance. An easy comparison would be between driving a Jeep and a sports car. Both effectively complete the task, but the trip is different. In recent years, the Russian helped the Chinese launch their human space program by collaborating with them. For use during launch, entry, and spacewalks, the Chinese have created spacesuits based on the Sokol and Orlan models. Additionally, India is creating spacesuits for its fledgling space program. Human space exploration is transitioning into its next one, including both NASA-led and commercial space exploration initiatives. New spacesuits will be needed to accommodate the needs of this kind of passenger as space tourism expands and more people travel to space. On the other hand, as NASA plans trips to the moon, Mars, or asteroids, sophisticated spacesuits will be needed to accommodate travel to these environments. A commercial suit is primarily used for emergency protection during launch and landing. It can be straightforward, whereas the kind used for spacewalks must meet much stricter protection standards and performance requirements. This makes these two categories of suits drastically different from one another. Here, the emphasis will be on spacewalking or high-performance emergency suits utilized when performance requirements, including spacecraft navigation, are crucial. What is a spacesuit? A spacesuit is a piece of clothing designed to keep a person alive in severe space conditions, including vacuum and extreme temperatures. Spacesuits are frequently worn inside spacecraft to prevent cabin pressure loss. Spacesuits are also required for extravehicular activity, EVA, or work outside the spacecraft. For this type of job, spacesuits have been worn in Earth orbit, on the moon, and when returning to Earth from the moon. Modern spacesuits add sophisticated electronics and environmental controls to the basic pressure suit to increase comfort, reduce the effort needed to flex the limbs, and combat the basic pressure suit's inclination to stiffen when exposed to a vacuum. It is common practice to use a self-contained oxygen supply and environmental control system to grant complete mobility independent of the spaceship. Evolution of the spacesuit. NASA astronauts have relied on spacesuits to keep them working and safe ever since Alan Shepard's historic flight in 1961. The suits have acted as personal spacecraft, protecting explorers during launch and entry, while working on the International Space Station, or while walking on the moon, from the gleaming silver of the Mercury suit to the orange pumpkin suits of the shuttle crew. Yuri Gagarin wore the Sokol suit, the first spacesuit ever worn by an astronaut in space in 1961. It was a one-piece suit with pressure and temperature protection, but no mobility that was created for use in the Vostok spacecraft of the Soviet Union. The Gemini suit, an enhanced version of the prior suits composed of a soft fabric material that allowed for better mobility, was first used in 1965 as part of the Gemini program. The A7L suit, the first to have an internal cooling system and the first to be used on the moon, was worn by Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin during the Apollo program that came after. The Advanced Crew Escape Suit, ACES, was utilized by the Space Shuttle program and was created for the use during the launch and re-entry of the Space Shuttle. NASA started testing the Z2 spacesuit in 2013, which will be used on upcoming Mars missions. The Z2 suit has features like built-in life support systems and a rear entry hatch and is composed of a flexible material that enhances mobility. In 2021, SpaceX unveiled its spacesuit, dubbed the Starwalker, intended to be used aboard its Starship spacecraft. The suit is composed of a tough temperature-regulating fabric and comes with a full-pressure helmet that includes integrated oxygen and communication capabilities. Spacesuits are improving in sophistication and are now equipped to protect astronauts on longer-duration flights and many celestial bodies. New spacesuits from NASA. NASA strives to create a new suit capable of handling a voyage back to the moon. Almost 40 years after their initial introduction, NASA's current semi-rigid extravehicular mobility unit, EMU suits, are cumbersome and challenging to maneuver. They were not made for rugged terrain hikes, but for floating spacewalks. A long-awaited improvement is finally here. NASA unveiled 2 prototype spacesuits at a press briefing yesterday. The Orion Crew Survival System Unit, which astronauts will wear during launch and re-entry, and the Exploration Extravehicular Mobility Unit, XEMU suit. The new XEMU suit's capacity to be used in various settings will be among its most crucial features. NASA is working to develop a spacesuit that astronauts may use on spacewalks, on the moon, and eventually on Mars. The XEMU's design enables astronauts to swap out particular components to suit their requirements. For instance, people traveling to Mars could modify some parts to meet their atmosphere and varying temperatures of the red planet. The suits are resistant to temperatures between -250 and 250 degrees Fahrenheit. The operating pressure for this suit is about 8.2 pounds per square inch. Basketball, in contrast, is filled to around 6 or 7 pounds per square inch of pressure. As Ross pointed out, astronauts can lower the suit's pressure to 4.3 psi if they require additional flexibility. Significantly, according to Ross, the crew has labored to ensure astronauts can put on and take off the suit at 2 distinct spots in case they become stranded. She explained that it adds a feature that the present outfit does not have. The astronauts have a back hatch and a waist opening for donning and donning suits. Spacesuits have significantly improved over time with breakthroughs in materials, design, and technology. Modern spacesuits are created to give astronauts the mobility and flexibility they need to work outside a spacecraft while protecting them from the hostile space environment. The life support systems in these suits also give astronauts access to air, water, and temperature control. New technologies like advanced cooling systems, improved gloves, and improved helmet visors have also improved the usefulness and comfort of spacesuits. Overall, the safety and capabilities of astronauts during space missions have significantly risen due to advancements in spacesuit technology. The video for today is over. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel to see more. Remember to click the bell icon to get alerts when new videos are posted. With that, I will say goodbye and hope to see you in the upcoming video.